So how does changing the interest rate by the MPC affect the inflation rate? Let me give you a bit of context. All the commercial banks, every single one of them, all the commercial banks have to borrow some of their capital from the South African Reserve Bank. It's a condition of their banking license. Now, the capital they borrow from the Reserve Bank is borrowed at a rate called the repo rate. In full, the repossession rate or the repurchase rate. So let's say the repo rate is sitting at 7%. Now, if the repo rate is sitting at 7%, it means that the prime rate of interest is going to be 10.5%. Why 10.5%? The spread or the difference between the repo rate and the prime rate is always 350 basis points. That's a fancy way of saying 3.5%. The difference between the repo rate and prime is fixed at 3.5%. And that spread is regulated by the South African Reserve Bank. Now, when most people go and borrow money, when most businesses go borrow money, how the bank charges them is based on prime. So if you've got a great credit rating and you go borrow money from the bank might say prime minus 1%. If you've got a dodgy credit rating, the bank might say prime plus 5%. Right? So prime becomes almost a base rate, and they're based on that. Now remember, prime and the repo are interlinked, and there's always a consistent 3.5% difference between them. So if the MPC believes inflation is going to breach the upper threshold, it's going to increase or go above 6%, what they do is they say, we are going to increase the repo rate. Yeah? They're going to increase the repo rate. So let's say they increase the repo rate from 7% to 8%. If the repo rate goes from 7 to 8%, that means that the prime rate of interest is going to go from 10.5% to 11.5%. Everyone, every individual, every business which is debt, which is priced on prime, is going to pay more in terms of interest. And if they are paying more in terms of interest, that means there's going to be far less disposable income. If, on the other hand, the MPC believes inflation is well under control and it's low, it may decrease the repo rate. Now, if it decreases the repo rate from, let's say, 7% to 6%, automatically that will mean the prime rate will go from 10.5% to 9.5%. So again, everyone who has debt will be paying less interest and will have more disposable income.